Do you know what I like to do before I go to dinner? I like to look at some baseball cards, of course. I have a whole bunch of stuff to show you. I have reholdered some things, so I thought I'd show those while I have them, and I got a few new things. First, I got a hold of a card that is near impossible, of a player whose cards are near impossible. This is a 1930 Z-Nut series of Earl Webb. He has a card in the 1929 series too, but this card is near impossible to find. So you might ask yourself, why did I buy a beat-up copy? It's because it's the only one I've ever found. PSA has never graded one. Now, he's a special player, so I wanted to have him represented in my collection, because in 1931, he set the all-time record for doubles in a single season with 67. He had a lifetime batting average over 300, but didn't have a very long career. He played from like 1925 to 1933. But I'm just excited to get this. And you might ask yourself, hey, why you have it in that old screw-down lucite? Well, for a number of reasons, and let me explain them. Number one, these cards are very, very thin, and this one is not in such great condition. It's wrinkled up, and I like to have it nice and secure, and I don't want it in a plastic baggie holder. Number two, it just looks badass in there. Looks like a museum quality. Number three, it's a 1. I don't need some 24-year-old telling me it's a 1. I already know that. And quite honestly, you know, I don't ever want to support PSA again until they get their act together. I used to find these things, these issues with them, and you know, once in a while. It's becoming like a weekly occurrence. You guys may have seen the post I made on the golden auction of a PSA slabbed card that is making its way around, and I guess PSA found out and they have decertified it. But they certified a Johnny Padres from this set, which is a 1953 fellow 1953 archives set made in the early 90s. I think 91, something like that. And you know, this is what these cards look like. And they clearly say archives on the bottom. And they slabbed this a 7. I don't know, it must have been in bad condition for these cards to get a 7. But anyway, and it appeared on golden auction sites. So this is blowing up the internet. So PSA graded this thing. Now, if you never saw a card before and you were to compare, you would know, man, they're not even the same size. If I line this up at the bottom, this is a normal size card. These are oversized. They look nothing alike. I mean, look how shiny, wide borders, wrong size, says archives on the bottom. So what that tells me is it proves, hands down, if that thing got through them, that there is no quality check. Only one person must grade these things, because there's no way that would get through 2 people that knew what the hell they were looking at. It's impossible. All right, I'm done. Okay, so I have told you guys in the past, this guy is from my hometown, and hung out with his nephew. He's a fellow Jack and Coke drinker. This is Bus Clarkson, and he was a Negro League player from Jeannette, Pennsylvania. And this is a 1972 sticker. I showed you guys my Satchel Paige I have over there. He doesn't have many cards. I do have one from his playing days that's not listed as him, but it's an action shot. And I also have a really cool old newspaper article about him from Puerto Rico. But I'm really excited to get this. You cannot find, this is the first time. I've been looking for Bus Clarkson cards for a few years, and this is the first time I've come across this one. Now, Bus Clarkson, if you're a Roberto Clemente fan, he would mean a lot to you because he was Roberto Clemente's first manager. So I'm excited to get that. I also got this beat up card. This is another one that is just paper thin. These are paper thin. I've shown you my Luis Tiant Sr., Ray Dandridge, my Martin DeHigos, and this is the 46-47 Deportivos. And this is Armando Marsans. And it's clearly when he was a coach that late. He was an early player. He and Rafael Almeida were two of the first Cuban players. And he came from a well-to-do family, but just loved to play baseball. And it's my understanding that he, from reading up on him, actually participated somewhat in the war as a little kid. They fled and came to America, I think, when he was 11 years old. But his family was well-to-do, but he loved to play baseball. He was known to be a smart player, a fantastic base runner, known to stretch singles into doubles and doubles into triples often. And just one of the early Cuban players. And I got this for $14.95 because nobody knows what the heck it is. And, you know, it's in low grade. But, again, don't find these too often, so I grabbed it. I got this Bob Lemon, just a beautiful card. I've been reholdering some stuff. So, I have this Joe Morgan rookie that I had bought graded, but I had one from my childhood collection, so I slabbed that in one of my new slabs. I don't know, which one looks better? I think these are clearer. They're nearly identical cards. This one's darker, but I think it's the slab. All right, I did some 67s, Brooks Robinson. At one time, man, this was a killer card to get. And this is one of my favorite cards. I have a PSA graded one, but I also have two raw ones because I love this card. Maury Will's first Topps card and the great story that goes along with it. One of the great outside linebackers of all time. Jack Ham. Signed card. I have another graded copy of this, but this was the original one that I had. These are some cards that I just think are gorgeous. Two 1974 football, Topps football, Kenny Stabler. I just love that card. And Jim Plunkett, another great card. I love the action shots myself. Again, this is a double, but I slabbed it up because I always loved that card of Pete Rose. It eluded me as a kid, so I had to get my copies later on. And this is just a fantastic card of Blue Moon Odom and Catfish Hunter. I have here Steve Largent rookie. Just an iconic card from when I was growing up. Mike Webster rookie. One of the most undervalued cards in the hobby. Man, what a phenomenal center he was. Never missed a game either. And many of you may not be familiar with this. I was cornering the market on these. I have a whole bunch of them. You're probably familiar with the Upper Deck Tiger Woods rookie card where he's pointing to the hole after he makes a putt. Well, this was a promo card Upper Deck did. And every one I've ever found has been in Canada. So I don't know, but I suspect that that's where they were distributed. Because every one I ever got was from Canada. I have several graded copies that I have like 5 or 6 of those things. And I got this from the Connor McDavid collection from his rookie season. He's got to be the best player in hockey at the moment, no? And I have like 3 of these plus the O-Pee-Chee. It's one of the most iconic, I shouldn't say iconic, one of the greatest cards ever made. It used to be very iconic when I was growing up. I don't know if it still is or not, but man, it's one of the greatest cards ever made. And that's the 1971 Thurman Munson. Now, I've been on a bit of a Larry Bird kick. And you know, I have all his normal cards from Topps and Fleer. So I've been buying up his star cards. Because those are the only ones I have left to get. I showed you this one. This was a this is the statistical leaders card with him and some others. And I got this one. This is his MVP card. Fantastic. And this is his collegiate stats card. I have like one more coming that hasn't shown up yet. And this is just highlighting the 83-84 season. And this one here is funny. It's entitled The Future. And on the back it talks about what a bright future he has. Which is kind of funny because by 84 he was already fantastic. He was fantastic from day one. And I have been showing you guys some of my Steelers cards from the 70s. And I have, you know, multiple copies of most of them. So I reholdered some of these because I just love these cards. They remind me of my youth. There's Terry Bradshaw. I have a couple of those. Here's Joe Green. And I have an autographed version of this up in my display. Dwight White. Fantastic defensive end. And this guy, Larry Brown. Larry Brown was a tight end. He came up as a tight end. He played 14 seasons for the Steelers, but they converted him to right tackle. So he played 7 years as a tight end, and then 7 more years as a right tackle. Now, I knew him as a right tackle because he predated me a little bit playing tight end that I remember. And so when I first saw this card, I was enamored with it because it had him listed as a tight end. And I never knew he played tight end because he was such a great lineman and just a staple on those teams that when I saw tight end, you know, that educated me that he came up as a tight end. And of course, you know, he looks like a receiver here, and he was much larger when he played right tackle, obviously. And then I have a Mike Wagner here. He was just a fantastic free safety for those Super Bowl Steelers. He played alongside Glenn Edwards, was the strong safety. And then Glenn Edwards, I believe he went to San Diego. I know he played in San Diego. I think that's where he went right after the Steelers. And then Donnie Shell came along, and he and Donnie Shell were the tandem. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers of that era, and any younger people will find this interesting, Chuck Noll did not believe in bringing outsiders in. So there are players that left Pittsburgh, but there were none that came to Pittsburgh. That team was built through the draft, and he never picked up anybody, never traded for anybody. Everybody on that team was either signed by the Steelers directly, initially, or through the draft. But this is Mike Wagner, and he was a really good free safety. That whole team was fantastic. There weren't too many weak spots on that team. So, that's what I have for you. What's going on with PSA, man? Archives. Thanks for hanging out with me.